we saw in the semi-finals of the World Seniors at the Crucible in May.
Play well.
I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary box by Peter Devlin, who was playing yesterday, and we should deal with that. Firstly,
very bizarre format in terms of having to get a particular... managed to do that 3-0 both times, and that's all you can control, really. You know, I managed to do what I intended to do. Making a certain type of break is never guaranteed, and unfortunately the balls just didn't fall for me. You think, well, I shouldn't be going for this because then I could lose a frame. But you're in between two.
In first, interesting group, isn't it? Obviously Higgins is the favourite, but all the other three, you know, they're all very talented, and just be interesting to see how
it's not representing, but countries like Brazil, Iran, and it's good to see, you know, a nice international mixture showing that the game is growing globally.
Everyone just looking
to, you know, he made his debut at the Crucible in 2017, losing practicing in the Ding Junhui Snooker Academy during that, because Q-School, if I remember rightly, and he will have took a lot from that, and I'm sure he would have been really looking forward to going back.
Yeah, and of course you don't get the chance to earn the big money or
that goes around YouTube and Facebook quite often of him doing. He's had 3 last 16 finishes in his time on tour. He got to the Welsh Open last 16.
Didn't get into the reds, so just a safety. 44.
On Sencam, 44.
Early jitters and early nerves are only going to get worse when you're not getting any table time and you're behind, so it's important that Igor finds a way into the match.
Yeah. Must be nice, Peter, to have the rests back in the proper places now after last year.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm always ready to put the... I was being offered the chance to give it to the referee, and I was finding that quite unusual, but very nice.
You've been sort of dreaming of not just turning pro, but getting to play in front of all these audiences. Of course, we couldn't do that last year.
Yeah, and it was a real shame for me. You know, it was one of... I'm always the sort of person that wants to get them be played behind closed doors, but I didn't mind that too much because it could have been a nice settler to get myself. It was a shame that we didn't get it, but it's understandable why. And I'm hoping that this year we'll get as many as we can in, and, you know, get as many tournaments with crowds. Really.
He has made a max spubbing competition at the Welsh Open 2019.
And that run in the tournament. But also it seems to be bringing people back into the game that were thinking that, you know, as a competitive snooker player, you know, it is in the blood, and competing, for him to go back to the seniors tour and remember how that felt, I think that...
I think it's really interesting because, of course, for everyone it's the first day of the season.
In this competition today, beat him 9-8 in the final, so Noppon went on to turn pro, and so very important. You know, you think that, okay, the frame's won, but really what you're doing far behind, they'll still want to just carry on playing just to get a feel for the... So you really want to, in Noppon's position, make the most of those chances and make sure that the opponent...
He's got it here. Well, it's come to an end, and he just leads already here by 1 frame to 0. Obviously the favourite, but we'll see as Igor Figueiredo gets the second frame underway. He's trailing Noppon Sencam of Thailand 1-0 with the World Championship. But he made the point about funding. He doesn't get any funding at all to play snooker. He has to fund himself to come over from South America. Not easy, and it's governing bodies and governments around the world. So that's one reason why snooker in the Olympics would definitely help the non-British players who've always...
have many full-size snooker tables. So the Brazilian players grow up, you know, playing on a very small table, or not very small, but smaller than what we play on. And he entered the Pios Tour, which was an amateur set, but he was given a wild card to the main tour in a bid to sort of grow the game in continents that it wasn't so big. You know, a whole year at a time where he wasn't able to enter a tournament because of not being able to travel over. And it must have been extremely frustrating to not even get the chance to play when you've earned it. And a lot of pressure, you know, to help to keep family, to keep his family well supported.
He wore a white hat to play, and he said he wouldn't take it off until he lost. We did have a tournament in Brazil back in 2011, an invitation event which Sean Murphy won.
And that's not going to give him any confidence going into this. He's played a good safety shot there. Those thin ones are...
Foul and a miss.
Trying to play a little flick off the two.
Foul and a miss. I go Figueiredo.
So sometimes you end up completely misjudging it and then either doing
Foul
something
and a miss.
similar or doing something.
I go Figueiredo.
It's a nice strike.
Definitely think he's the sort of player, when the crowds come back, they would definitely
Win a few matches at the World Championship qualifiers in order to stay on through the one-year list. He beat his practice table because he practices with Tepchire a lot. And that got him through to the final qualifying round where, as you said before, he lost to Mark Joyce. So although he didn't become the first South American player to get to the World Championship if the American Championship turns pro, I do feel like Igor would still probably win that. I think he's quite away.
do big continents. He'll still have to travel again, fund his way there again. He was in there and just lost position maybe as we...
It is always hard to get the initial feel for them. That's a great long pot there. At the moment, he's not really had the chance to get settled. He's missed a few early balls, and he's been punished for them.
I go Figueiredo.
Obviously, it's very early yet, but it's the one place no one wants to be.
Oh, dear.
Oh, wow.
Thinner than how he hit it. Nonetheless, no danger. An offer on the circuit, but what it does do is allow a large amount of players on the tour to earn something in a similar way to the Pro Series did last year, with only one player. Yeah, that's a really nice thing as well. It's great for experience and a bit of exposure. You know, I've managed to play in this tournament 2 years, and just playing in arenas like this is very useful for experience, really, so that when you actually do get there, Friendship League was open to all the players. It could be a bit daunting, you know, when you're in a large arena and you're not used to it. It's a good line for that safety. So just make sure of the pot. He's done really well there to screw the white ball out through that gap. Oh dear.
Yeah, not a good sign that. Didn't really get close to it.
Really sort of cued across it. And the more you miss and the more time you start speeding up a little bit because you lose a bit of faith. Well, I've noticed that in myself anyway. Sometimes when you... He is getting chances.
Yeah, for him today. But that's easier said than done, of course.
Close frame, and then they'll go on to make a big break in the next one, and then they'll make another big break in the one after that, and all off the back of one little bit of, it could be luck, it could be a good clearance, whatever it is, but they'll be ready to take the chance when it comes. That was a clever shot.
Yeah, now suddenly...
It was a similar shot to the blue on the red because he overhit the yellow. He's played that well, they're never easy.
11.
These
18.
three.
should settle into this match. Of course, still has a chance to win it. Get the 3 points.
25.
Certainly, when you win a frame, you forget everything bad that's happened. Frame doesn't matter. It never happened. That's the funny psychology of this move.
Yeah, then this black still needs potting. Yeah.
One.
very good. With that, he's opened another red eye. Quite comfortable to get to. We'll be thinking I was 50 ahead. I was in control of the frame. And now I'm going to be coming to the table. If I do come to the table,
No, never look.
yeah, understandably, he didn't go for that. It's a tricky one. There's a pretty standard shot to nothing here, so great shot. Yeah, the green's in a horrible position, and that's another very...
As I say, was in with a good chance.
And that's
Foul.
not good
And
for
a miss.
Igor, because I was just doing the scoring in my head, and
Up on St. Cam full. Foul. And a miss. Up on St.
it's a good hit, and I think the red's going to go safe. The other player's shot, but it seems like Igor meant the same gesture as an apology. Now the blue.
That's better.
Yeah, good solid pot.
One.
Blue, then he will just be able to screw nicely back for the green. Anything other? Yeah, he's played that nicely.
Into this green pocket. And it's frame ball, and it's... And now he can't miss. Terrific brown as well. Yeah, they are lovely, actually, and it's a lovely setup here. And this match is nicely set up. He's missed that, so snooker's required. That's successful snookers, of course. How many he'll have to lay to get the points, we'll see.
Yeah, you need to actually get the penalty points. Yeah, everybody's very good at getting out of snooker. To actually force the penalty points, a lot of the time you can be laying 10 snookers and only get about one of them. He's hit that well. Snookers, I was saying, it's always the player who doesn't need them that gets them, and he does need them. Always takes a little bit of pressure off when your opponent needs 2 snookers. I think if that was if he needed 1 snooker, I think there'd have been a little bit more tension on the escape that Igor had.
Of course,
Yeah.
Senkam needs the snookers. He'll probably hit this, but where does it finish? Well, he hasn't hit it.
Oh, that'll be that.
I thought he might, but anyway.
We'll just say that my...
And despite a couple of wobbles along the way, by winning the second frame, John Higgins, I'm sure, would love to see this end in a draw. If you're one of the players not playing the match, you'd love to see draws, particularly as he's just won 3-0. It would be a...
One.
which carries a pro ticket, beat Mohammed Majid Ali 6-5 in the final. And it's actually a tournament where a lot of names on the tour now.
Right.
A lot of success that's been had by some of these guys away from sort of the TV cameras. Big event, and we of that country, broke through, got to big ranking final in Bangkok in his first season, lost to Stephen Hendry, and that paved the way for a lot of snooker.
One of the most entertaining players of all time, Dechawat Poomjang, who was a real...
That we know of, at least 3 times. One was at the Crucible.
You'd think you'd learn, wouldn't you?
That's a very gutsy shot to play.
Yeah, great shot with the rest there.
It was a different form of the game, although Steve could turn his hand to any form.
20.
With that cue power that I was talking about earlier, a bit unfortunate there.
I go Figueiredo 43.
Eyed up a plant here. That has gone beautifully.
1.
Blue.
4.
Those 3 shots, you can't fault him on that. And the plan.
Snookers.
$70.
Oh dear, frame ball.
I go Figueiredo 70.
Up-on spotted a good red there.
1.
Yep, made the angle to roll it. Opposite side of the table. Played that very nicely. Can be in prime position and then you can be in
Foul. And a
a
miss.
lot of trouble. Frame will really hurt. And in the same way, it will give Nopon a massive... Now it's a stand. Yeah, it's a cool game. Confidence just comes and goes so...
And then you see them after the match and then they can't speak.
Ugh, yeah, it's just... It's a game you love to hate and you hate to love. And...
18.
These are the ones that stick with you.
Got to be said though, he led a
29.
very good snook. But Nopon Sankam has made a very cool clearance from the match, and even that I think would be disappointing, but it'd be far more disappointing now to lose 3-1.
No, it hasn't. I'm still. I mean, the thing with my rapping, it was never something that I would actively do hours. I wouldn't have a choice because my mind would just be ticking over. I'd be driving or I'd be on a train or whatever. I'd just be having ideas. I was just doing at complete random intervals whenever I was inspired. And Twitter's amazing, but it can also be a very terrible place, and it just gives everybody freedom to say what players and the top 16 would go through, because they're on the telly every day, or they're going to get a hell of a lot more attacks on the or if they do, then well, good luck. You'll have to fire me first, and I will fight back. About that, so I wrote a sort of parody song taking the piss back at them. SOS, which is a charity that deals with mental health and suicide, and it's the first song that I've written which is about serious now, and I'm just in the process of producing it properly with somebody who has a studio and trying to find.
While here is a chance for Nop andแสงคำ, certainly in the ascendancy in this match, having stolen the last frame. Saw a player, Bei Langning.
Okay.
Pink spot.
That's a great shot, that.
He looks like a man who's just made a great clearance. He's got that confidence about him.
Yeah, the tiniest of things in snooker can make such a...
That being a group decider, we'll see, of course, because there's other matches to come. He stays on actually to play Sahil Vahidi, does Ẹseng Khan, but he's given himself every chance.
So if he does manage to win this match, it'll be nice for him that he gets to go straight onto the next one carrying the confidence. Or just pot it, that'll do as well.
Well, the red stays out, so 56. Good break.
This red. But that was a nicely controlled shot.
I think he showed very good temperament. That Gleader, just the disappointment in his body language there as he sort of slumps in the chair.
Sometimes the most important thing is missing less rather than potting more.
One more match to bring you in this session. Ẹseng Khan v Vahidi goes into it.
To get out of there for a little bit and clear his head.
Exactly.
Now.
Just slightly overcut that one, but all the damage has already been done. Break in this match. It was all about frame 3. Figueiredo